Hi everyone. How are you doing? Today I am very happy to do the presentation about the Good Earth. There are 22 characters in the Good Earth. 1. Wang Leung. The protagonist of the novel, a Chinese peasant at the beginning and a rich landowner by the end. Sometimes innocent and naive, sometimes brave and pragmatic, generally gentle and caring, Wang Leung reflects the myriad thematic elements of the text, for example the role of tradition, of beauty, and of marriage. His one unwavering characteristic is his love of and appreciation for the land. 2. Wang Leung's father. Wang Leung's father exemplifies the role of elders in traditional society. As tradition dictates, Wang Leung must care for him in his old age. During the course of the novel, he is often a voice of wisdom and a witness to the changes that the family undergoes. 3. Wang Leung's uncle. The epitome of greed, Wang Leung's uncle parasitically lives off of his hard-working brother and nephew. He often asks Wang Leung for money, and when his nephew gets rich he moves his family into Wang Leung's house. He causes Wang Leung much grief, inciting a mob to raid his farm at the beginning of the novel. At the same time, he keeps Wang Leung safe since he is one of the heads of an infamous band of robbers, the Redbeards. These criminals leave Wang Leung alone because of his presence in the house. To end his mischief, Wang Leung turns his uncle into an opium addict. 4. Old mistress of the House of Huang. A symbol of the excess of wealth, she is an opium addict, a woman used to luxury and cruelty. She is the woman who gives land to Wang Leung. When the house goes into decline she dies from her opium addiction. 5. Lan. Wang Leung's wife. Previously, she had served for 10 years as a servant in the House of Huang, as a kitchen slave. She is plain, which causes her much shame and hurt throughout her life. Her feet are large and thus considered unattractive. However, despite these superficial flaws, Lan has a rich inner life and continually exhibits resourcefulness, practicality, loyalty and patience. She embodies the giving qualities of the earth. She is also primarily responsible for Wang Leung's wealth, a fact that he never fully acknowledges. 6. Gateman of the House of Huang. Disguised by the mole on his face, the Gateman scorns Wang Leung as a peasant at first, later respecting Wang Leung when he gains wealth. When the great house falls into decline he is among the band of robbers that raids the house. 7. Qing. Initially Wang Leung's neighbor, during the time of famine he raids Wang Leung's house for food along with the rest of the village men. However, he also gives Wang Leung some beans for Lan on the day before her birth. After the famine his wife dies and he gives his daughter away. He then becomes Wang Leung's right-hand man, in charge of managing the land until his dying day. When he dies Wang Leung mourns him like a brother. 8. Cuckoo. A concubine of the old lord in the House of Huang, Cuckoo later becomes the manager at the town tea shop. She moves in with Wang Leung after he buys Lotus. Always a chameleon, Cuckoo survives by adapting when hard times hit. She and Lan are bitter enemies, and Lan never welcomes her into her house. 9. Lotus. A beautiful woman who becomes Wang Leung's mistress. She is a prostitute at the tea shop until Wang Leung purchases her. Dainty, delicate, and graceful, she is Lan's opposite. Lotus is also crafty, greedy, and manipulative. 10. Wang Leung's eldest son. A spirited and willful man, Wang Leung's eldest son wants to be a scholar. He suffers from the idleness of wealth. Before Lan dies he marries the town beauty, a superficial woman much like Lotus. By the end of the novel we see that he has become a respected man in town, and he follows in his father's footsteps by acquiring a second wife. 11. Wang Leung's second son. Crafty, thrifty, and industrious, Wang Leung's second son becomes a grain merchant. Ultimately he controls all of the finances of the house and discourages his elder brother's spending. He marries a practical woman from the country who is completely the opposite of his brother's wife. 12. Wang Leung's third son. One of the two twins, Wang Leung's youngest son is an enigma to his father. Slated to work the land, He is unhappy with this fate and instead wishes to study. He later decides to become a soldier and becomes an important figure in the revolution. He also shows an interest in Pear Blossom and runs away when Wang Leung takes her for a concubine. 13. Wang Leung's first daughter. Referred to as his poor fool, Wang Leung's daughter just before the famine hits. She suffers from extreme malnutrition, and though she survives, she never learns to speak or interact with others. Wang Leung has a soft spot in his heart for her and cares for her even as others mock her. 14. Wang Leung's second daughter. The second of the two twins, she is beautiful and Olan makes sure that her feet are bound so that her husband will not reject her. She is sent to her betrothed's house when she is still young in order to avoid Wang Leung's nephew's advances. 15. Wang Leung's nephew. True to his father's nature, Wang Leung's nephew is lazy, lustful, and prone to trouble. He takes Wang Leung's eldest son to see a prostitute in town, and he also shows too much interest in his little female cousin. He then decides to go to war and become a soldier, and pays his family an unwelcome visit with his troop when they come through town. 16. Old Lord. The patriarch of the House of Huang. He embodies the negative qualities of the rich, their luxuriant and unsustainable lifestyles, as well as their lust for women. 17. Pear Blossom. A slave bought by Wang Leung and given to Lotus. Frail, delicate and beautiful, Pear Blossom is afraid of all men with the exception of Wang Leung. She becomes his second concubine by the end of the novel, and is with Wang Leung till the end of his days. 18. Yang. The local prostitute. Wang Leung's eldest son goes to her with his cousin. Described as grotesque, she represents the ugliness at the core of lust. 19. Eldest son's wife. A town woman, she is very proper and class-conscious. She is always comparing her current standard of living with the way things were in her father's house. 20. Second son's wife. A country girl, she is the complete opposite of the eldest son's wife. She is loud and boisterous, not proper like the town woman, and this is why they do not get along. 21. Wang Leung's uncle's wife. Described as fat and lazy, she is a woman that enjoys the good life that her husband cannot give her. She is the one that arranges for the purchase of Lotus, and in fact becomes her friend. Ultimately, she dies from her opium addiction. 22. Liu. A respectable merchant, Liu is the father of Wang Leung's eldest son's wife and of his youngest daughter's husband. Also, he is the man in charge of his second son's apprenticeship as a grain merchant. Like Wang Leung, he is a hard-working man. The Good Earth Summary. The Good Earth is a family saga centered on the figure of Wang Leung, a simple farmer in the village of Anhui. The novel opens on Wang Leung's wedding day, when Wang Leung arrives at the great house of Huang to claim his bride. He is a poor man who has come to marry a slave, the only wife he can afford, and for this reason he is very aware of his inferior status. The old mistress asks that they bring their firstborn for her to see. Wang Leung agrees and departs with Olan, now his woman. Olan is plain and simple, though a hard worker. She plans the wedding feast, and Wang Leung and his father are pleasantly surprised by the delicacy of her food. That night, they consummate the marriage. Wang Leung is happy in his life with Olan. She is a quiet being, but diligent and respectful. Also, he finds comfort in her and soon is overjoyed to learn that she is pregnant. Olan also takes it upon herself to go into the field and work with Wang Leung, thus bringing in a better harvest that year. Wang Leung and Olan continue saving silver and having children. They hide the money in an earthen wall until Wang Leung decides to buy some land from the House of Huang. There is talk in the village about his prosperity, and with that Wang Leung's muoching uncle comes around and asks for money. Wang Leung is forced to help his uncle financially because he is family. The next year a famine strikes. The harvest is minimal and hunger abounds. Olan gives birth to a girl, something Wang Leung considers a bad omen. Eventually the family migrates south in search of food. They settle in this foreign city and make do as best as they can. During this time there's an uprising and a rich house is sacked by the poor. Wang Leung steals a rich man's gold. With this money the family heads back to the land with seeds, an ox, and renewed spirits. The village is desolate when the family returns. Cheng, Wang Leung's neighbor, is still alive, but barely so. Wang Leung tells Cheng he will help him plant again, and soon they become close friends. Cheng later works for Wang Leung as his foreman. One night Wang Leung finds out that during the night of chaos in the south, Olan found a collection of jewels. Olan asks to keep 2 pearls, something to which Wang Leung obliges, and the next day he goes out to buy more land from the house of Huang with the remaining jewels. Wang Leung thus becomes a rich man and begins to delve in the pleasures of life. He seeks out a concubine, Lotus, sends his sons to school, and becomes widely respected. He also realizes that, as much as he owes to Olan, he does not love or desire her. She is simply the mother of his children. He remains bound to sustain his uncle, aunt and nephew, because they know of Wang Leung's wealth and will not work when he can provide for them. By the end of the novel the family has changed drastically. The sons have been raised without knowing the value of the land, all they know are monetary riches. They convince Wang Leung to rent the great house in the city rather remain in the country. Wang Leung, though occasionally enjoying the pleasures of a rich man, for example fine food and clothes, and another concubine named Pear Blossom, never wholly sheds his identity as a farmer. However, his sons, who are eager to sell the land and make more money, represent the changes to come. That's all about the good dearth. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe, like and share to channel Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.